where the Earth stopped breathing. Our camera traverses a green desert where silence rules. In Bento Rodrigues, time froze on November 5, 2015. What was once a vibrant mosaic of backyards is now a territory reclaimed by wild overgrowth, hiding Brazil's greatest environmental disaster. Over a decade later, the ruins are open wounds on the geography of Minas Gerais. Beneath branches and dry mud lies the DNA of a community wiped out by 40 million cubic meters of tailings from São Marco. To see Bento today is to confront human vulnerability in the face of negligence, where nature grows over memories that cannot yet rest. The avalanche that devoured the horizon. The collapse of the Fundão Dam ruptured the natural order. The avalanche of toxic mud tore down with the force of an iron tsunami, uprooting century-old trees and smashing history. The physics of the disaster were relentless. The mud chemically altered the soil, creating a sterile crust that challenged biologists for years. What you see here is the Mariana scar, a trail that cut through mountains and buried the dignity of those who depended on the land. The plant recovery shows the Earth's resilience, but science warns that the soil still carries the heavy metal weight of that fateful day. The mud's path to the sea. The destruction knew no borders. After devouring Bento Rodrigues, the toxic waste reached Paracatu de Baixo before infiltrating the main arteries of the Doce River. It was 663 kilometers of agony, a brown hemorrhage crossing states until vomiting its toxicity into the Atlantic Ocean. Fishermen and farmers saw the river turn into a cemetery of biodiversity. The seasonal fish migration stopped, aquatic life suffocated. The disaster proved that geography is interconnected. A failure on the mountain poisons the ocean. To this day, the fear of contamination keeps the entire basin in constant vigil. New Bento Rodrigues, the architecture of waiting. We leave the ruins to observe the architecture of waiting in New Bento Rodrigues. Built by the Renova Foundation under a monumental cost forming part of the more than 38 billion reais invested in reparations up to 2024, the site is an urban mirror of the old village. The street layouts and the church's position evoke memories of the past, but the texture of daily life is different. With the new agreement of 2024, the total value of actions could reach 170 billion reais, but money cannot buy back lost spontaneity. Here, the setting is impeccably orderly, but it lacks the organic dust of a community born from history. The identity conflict in the new home. To a visitor, New Bento Rodrigues looks like a high-end gated community. To the resident, it feels like a golden cage. The cultural clash is visceral. Families who once lived without walls, integrated into rural dynamics, now find themselves in modern suburban homes, yet stripped of productive backyards and their former freedom. The transition from organic rural to planned urban generated an identity crisis. How do you maintain community spirit when neighborhoods are divided by high walls? The resettlement delivered the house keys, but the true challenge is restoring the sense of belonging. New Paracatu and the engineering of hope. We now enter New Paracatu de Baixo, a town built from scratch that challenges the logic of time. What you observe is the result of monumental engineering. Here, the infrastructure is flawless. Wide streets, modern health clinics, and a school over the new horizon. This planned town was delivered to be the new home for hundreds of families, attempting to translate a historical debt into concrete and asphalt. The investment aims to provide a technical quality of life superior to what existed before. Yet, a silent contrast emerges, the human attempt to forge a future where the past was abruptly interrupted. Old Paracatu, where mud became memory. To understand the value of this new beginning, we must look back at Old Paracatu. About 55 kilometers downstream from the dam, this bucolic village was the stage for a tragedy in slow motion. Unlike Bento, the mud arrived here with a force that disfigured the landscape into a lunar terrain. Where there were once cattle pastures, nothing remained but a sterile crust of mining waste. The church and the school, centers of community life, were choked by the brown clay. To look at these ruins is to understand the trauma of a community that saw its history buried. Yesterday's Paracatu is now an archive of losses that money can never rebuild. The invisible fear, health and heavy metals. Behind the freshly painted facades, the fear is invisible but omnipresent. The mud that seeped into the soil and the water table carries the ghost of heavy metals. Residents report chronic respiratory illnesses and complications that many attribute to the dust of the dried waste. Federal prosecutors and public health agencies maintain strict surveillance over the basin's toxicity, while the population lives with uncertainty. Doubts about food safety consume the families. Financial reparation is vast, but the safety of drinking a glass of water without fear is still a luxury that the billions of reis from mining have not guaranteed to everyone. Legacy, what silence cannot erase. We close this journey between two realities. On one side, the green ruins of Bento Rodrigues, where nature performs its silent curation. On the other, the gleam of the new towns, where concrete tries to sustain the hope of a new beginning. The new agreement signed in 2024 promises to be the legal final chapter of the tragedy, forecasting forest restoration and definitive compensation. For the geographical and human eye, the lesson is eternal. Life has roots that mud can cover, but never erase. This record you witness is an archive of resilience. Because history is not made only of what we build, but of how we choose to remember what was taken from us.